Hey guys, welcome back to User Experience Points. This week we're looking at Grand Theft Auto 5. Now this game is huge. This game has a ton of content and just dozens of user experiences I could talk about, so I narrowed it down to just a couple that I thought were interesting. So let's start with something that you see every single time you turn on the game, the loading screen. This approach that I'm seeing more and more with open world games actually has you sit through one longer loading screen at the beginning of every play session. That way, once you're in the really large game world, there isn't any loading as you travel to different areas. It's a trade-off because you are making people wait right when they start the game, so it's important to make this a very positive experience for people. The usual method of having content on screen for players to read while they wait is here and used to decent effect, but the real star is the way that you can actually choose to launch in single or multiplayer mode before it's done loading. Giving the player a decision to think about and content to read on screen is a good combination to circumvent the long loading time. It's also a smart decision that this loading screen is literally the first thing that comes up after the logos and other legal stuff. That way someone can confidently launch the game and then let it do its thing if they want to go make a sandwich or something while they're waiting for the game to load. Considering how long loading times can be though, I would appreciate a little bit more interactivity, but what is here is definitely well executed. Next, let's talk about the character creation process that starts the online experience. Now, before I get into this, I have to talk about the layout of the interface. The actual menu you're interacting with is on the top left, and the controls for using it are on the bottom right. This creates the constant, unnecessary mental process of shifting your focus back and forth across the screen. The controls are too separate from the UI you're controlling. Left aligning the controls would make a huge difference here. The actual creation process is pretty cool though. It's amusing that you can decide your base appearance by essentially shipping characters from previous GTA games. At least I assume they're from previous games. The only one I recognized was Nico. This starts the experience out pretty positive, rewarding players of previous GTA games. It's also just really creative. I like it. After deciding which GTA OTP your character was spawned from, it's time to iron out the details of your face, which you can do using presets or controls similar to what Dragon Age Inquisition had. I'm not sure how I feel about some of the facial presets being considered standard, though that's not really the type of thing I talk about in this show. But maybe on a different one. Anyway, I like the placement of extra settings for whichever part of your character you're currently customizing. You get the grid meter for when you're adjusting facial presets and a color meter after you've selected a specific hairstyle. After seeing some more of this interface, you might have noticed one of its other problems. The indication of how many items are in a list is incredibly minimal in vertical lists and non-existent in horizontal lists. This makes it really easy to miss stuff and can create some frustration when you're scrolling through 45 different pairs of sunglasses. Whenever I see a ton of choices like this, I think back to the visual approach that was taken in the character creation screen for Dragon's Dogma. It's a lot easier to compare this many different options when you can see a bunch of them on screen at once. Now let's look at the tutorials that follow character creation. I appreciate that each time you create a character you can play the tutorial again, A because I needed the footage and had already done the tutorial, and B because it's just good design to allow someone who's rusty to be shown the ropes again. Unfortunately, this tutorial is pretty frustrating. First, let's talk about the pop-up messages that explain the features, and eventually we'll tell you the controls and pretty much everything you need to actually do in the game. Why are these so small? I mean, God forbid some of the screen real estate gets sacrificed to make these things legible. I don't always need to look at the pretty graphics, even if they are really pretty. Though if you're on a PS4, you can get some mileage out of that zoom feature that was added in the recent accessibility update. That being said, I do appreciate the consistency in placement. I just wish it was a little easier to read these things. After the opening cutscene and info dump, you're dropped right into an online multiplayer match with other people who are playing the tutorial. That's a pretty neat idea, but dropping the player right into the interface for a normal multiplayer match is not. I mean, what's a new player even supposed to do with all this stuff, especially when they're being timed? And before you can even finish getting the chance to understand what's going on in this interface, suddenly you're customizing a car. Oh, so this is my vehicle? Oh, awesome, okay, I'm into this. Oh wait, what, no, why am I being timed? Oh, that's it, okay, I guess I'm driving this. Playing tutorial missions with other people who are new to the game is a nice idea, but not when you're constantly being timed and hurried along like this. This is especially bad if it can't even find any other people for you to play with, so you're forced to just do these opening missions by yourself, being hurried along as if real people are waiting for you. I hate to say it, but this is probably one of the worst onboarding processes I've seen for a multiplayer game. Okay, let's finish off this episode with one of my favorite subjects to talk about. The smartphone in Grand Theft Auto 5 is a wonderful example of diegetic design. For those of you who haven't heard the term before, this refers to designing interfaces in a fictional world. This is especially tricky in video games because you have to make the interface look like it's part of the world and make it usable since a real person is interacting with it. That challenge is conquered perfectly thanks to a combination of using established mobile design patterns and a subtle use of color. The icons used in the phone's interface are instantly recognizable by anyone who has an iPhone, and the remaining controls are identified by colors that match the buttons on the console's controller. This makes the controls still look like they're part of the world, but still communicates that information to the player directly. It's awesome. Whoever designed this gets a UX high five. I'd also like to briefly touch on the browser that you can open through the smartphone. I could do a whole episode on all the different websites that are in this thing, but I mainly want to talk about the keyboard that's used in it. This is unfortunately an example where diegetic design wasn't necessarily the best answer. I mean, it's functional, it's a keyboard, and you can move a cursor around to select the key you want to type, but the PlayStation 4's actual keyboard is way more easy to use thanks to a bunch of shortcuts that are mapped to buttons on the controller, and I'm sure it's the same way on the Xbox One, for example. There's also one last thing I want to mention that's specific to the PlayStation 4 version of the game. See, by default, any audio coming from the cell phone, like when you receive a call from another character in the game, all of that plays through the controller speakers rather than the TV speakers. This means if you have the controller's audio turned off, you won't hear any of your cell phone calls and you're never given any indication why. Just a friendly reminder to my fellow designers, always think of every possible use case if you can. And that's all I've got for this week. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'd like to take this opportunity to announce that this is actually the last scheduled UXP episode for the time being. It was a tough call, but I think I'm making the right decision. Short version, I'm taking a break from producing a new episode of UXP every single week, but this is not the end of the series, I can promise that much. If you'd like to know more about what's going on with that and the future of this channel, click that video in the top right of the end slate. Either way, I just want to thank you all for the support that you've given this show. It means the world to me. And I can't wait to show you guys what I'm working on next, so please stick around, don't unsubscribe to this channel. The wait will be worth it. See you all next time.